Elon Musk has revealed scary facts about the real economic situation that everyone is trying to hide. As you know, Elon is implementing various changes on Twitter and wants to make the platform more profitable than ever. For this reason, Musk is fighting fake accounts and is trying to improve free speech. But as Elon explains, it's very difficult to make Twitter profitable when the economic situation is getting so dangerous. First, Musk has stated that deflation will have terrible impacts on the economy, since it encourages consumers to postpone purchases while they wait for further price drops. More importantly, Elon has identified an extremely serious issue that will definitely demolish various business areas. So, before investing your money, you should definitely listen to this opinion of Elon. In addition, Sven Henrik, the founder of Northman Trader, commented on how the government made a giant mistake and misread inflation by being too loose for an extended period of time. He went on to say that they have since tightened aggressively into the highest debt structure ever without taking into account the lag effects of these rate hikes. The situation gets even worse since economists have explained the worst error made by the Fed members in the organization's 110-year history. But what's even worse, almost all economists that are talking about the future trends, they are scared and afraid of how bad the situation is. This is a very interesting story, so let's explain it. Billionaire Elon Musk believes that if the US Fed raises interest rates, the recession would worsen. The electric car CEO stated on Twitter that the recession will be considerably amplified if the Fed hikes rates again the following week. The comments were made during a conversation with co-founder of Tasmanian, Vincent Yu, that included many other people. Sven Henrik, the founder of Northman Trader, commented later in the discussion thread about how the Fed misread inflation by being too loose for an extended period of time, and how they have since tightened aggressively into the highest debt structure ever without taking into account the lag effects of these rate hikes. All of this runs the danger of the Fed being again late in realizing the harm already done. Adding to this in complete agreement, Musk responded with an "exactly." It is also important to note here that Musk has previously predicted that the recession may last until the spring of 24, in October of this year. Musk added on to Jeff Bezos' concerning tweet in October. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, advised followers to batten down the hatches in anticipation of rough economic conditions. That tweet was sent along with a video of Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon saying in an interview with CNBC that he believes there is a good likelihood that the United States will experience a recession. With this, Musk asserts that it is difficult to predict with certainty how bad the economy will get. He does, however, think that one benefit of the crisis is the demise of enterprises with weak foundations. Also, Musk admitted to Twitter employees how this situation also is affecting Twitter and the platform's profitability. In an email to Twitter employees, Musk wrote, "I'm sorry that this is my first email to the company, but I can't sugarcoat the message. The economic picture ahead is dire." He added that Twitter is too heavily dependent on advertising and vulnerable to reductions in brand spending and will need to boost the revenue it gets from subscriptions. Previously, Musk also commented how, while many other businesses are struggling, Tesla and SpaceX are in a strong position. Recessions do have a silver lining in that firms that shouldn't exist stop existing, Musk continued. While painful, Musk claimed that these episodes are necessary to rid the market of suspected malinvestments, which in turn shakes out weak company concepts. During economic booms, these subpar investments slowly accumulate as capital pursues greater marginal profits until the incremental gains are no longer worth the risk. The cost of money, which is determined by policymakers at the world's central banks, is a significant factor taken into account by investors. The US Federal Reserve, the world's largest central bank, had its foot on the gas pedal until recently, trying to delay the regular economic cycle downturn. The central bank increased interest rates by 3 full percentage points only this year, which had a significant impact on the pricing of all kinds of assets, including equities, homes, and cryptocurrencies. When policymakers realized that inflation was running at 8% at the beginning of March, the Fed was still growing its balance sheet and, consequently, the money supply. Recently, Elon Musk voiced his disgust for the Fed, joining Wharton finance professor Jeremy Siegel in criticizing Fed members for having committed the worst error in the organization's 110-year history. Musk responded, "Siegel is definitely right. The International Monetary Fund projects that the global GDP would slow to 3.2% this year and 2.7% in 2023 from its 2021 rate of growth of 6%. With the exception of the 2008 financial crisis and the temporary decline during the early stages of the COVID epidemic, that would represent the slowest rate of growth since 2001. The US GDP is expected to rise by just 0.2% this year and 1.2% in 2023, according to the Federal Reserve. Economists predict that the Federal Reserve will make its final rate rise announcement for 2022 next week. 42 analysts responding to a Bloomberg survey estimate that the likelihood of a recession during the upcoming year has increased to 60%. On the 9th of December, wholesale prices in the US increased 7.4% in November compared to the same month last year. In contrast, the cost of services increased further by 0.4%, mostly as a result of higher financial service charges. The Consumer Price Index, the US government's most well-known measure of inflation, will be released soon. Inflation was moderated in the most recent CPI data for October, which showed prices rising 7.7% from a year earlier. Even while it was still high, that was the lowest comparison since January. In an effort to battle inflation, which is at its highest level in 40 years, the Federal Reserve has substantially increased interest rates in recent months, bringing the benchmark rate from virtually zero during the epidemic to a range between 3.75% and 4%. However, a lot of experts believe that the economy will enter a recession as a result of this tough monetary policy. Tesla's CEO also agrees with Cathie Wood, a prominent investor who maintains that deflation would result from higher rates, a possibility that Musk had alluded to in September. In a piece published on December the 7th, Wood claimed that the bond market appears to be indicating that the Fed is making a big error. The yield curve is more inverted right now, at negative 80 basis points, than it ever has been since the early 1980s, when double-digit inflation was well established. She continued on how a recession, or less inflation than anticipated, are typically predicted by an inverted yield curve. For us, the danger of deflation outweighs that of inflation. This viewpoint is supported by the pricing of commodities and huge retail discounts. To which Musk responded, absolutely, on December the 9th. According to research by the San Francisco Federal Reserve, a sustained inverted yield curve has been a reliable predictor of financial market mood, having occurred before each of the 9 recessions the US economy has experienced since 1955. The businessman issued a warning in September of last year that a rise in jumbo interest rates would result in long-term deflation. The CEO of SpaceX stated that a significant Fed rate rise risks deflation. Deflation may have disastrous effects on the economy, since it encourages people to put off purchases as they wait for additional price reductions. As a result, there may be a decline in general demand and an increase in inventory at businesses that are unable to sell their goods. In reaction, they cut back on investment and output. That's it for today. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell.